Hey guys, what's up? Andrew here, obviously. And I'm finally back with another vinyl video. It's about goddamn time. 6 records. I got no announcements, so let's just cut right to it. Alright, first record up. A very famous band, but I feel like they're famous, but they're not really. Not a lot of people explore their discography, which is a shame because they have a lot of really good albums. Deep Purple, with their album Fireball. Excuse the sticker. The record store I bought it from put it on the actual cover, which is just fucking terrible, but whatever. Fireball is the second album with Ian Gillan, the Mark II lineup, which is the most famous lineup. Really cool gatefold there. Second album from the Mark II lineup. It's a very underrated album because it's sandwiched in between In Rock, which is probably my favorite Deep Purple studio album, that is, and Machine Head, which has Highway Star, and of course the classic Smoke on the Water. Center label. I'm not sure when this was pressed, but does it say it in here? No, it just says 1971, which is when the album came out. Don't know if I shut off the back. That's pretty cool too. The three most famous songs on this album are the title track, which is probably my favorite song off the album, Strange Kind of Woman, and obviously The Mule, which is done on Made in Japan. And I believe that's the song with the huge drum solo in the middle. I think that's the one. But yeah, I mean, Deep Purple is, I feel like, a really underrated band because a lot of people just know like Smoke on the Water and maybe Highway Star, but that's it. And it's really a shame because they have a lot of really cool records. However, I would be lying if I said that I cooled off. I didn't cool off on these guys. I was definitely a much bigger Deep Purple fan and listened to them a lot more in high school than I do now. But, you know, from time to time, they're pretty awesome. But, yeah. Ian Gillan's vocals are still great. Richie Blackmore is on peak. And, of course, all the other members are really, really underrated and fantastic. So, yeah. Fireball. I wouldn't start with this album if you want to get into Deep Purple. I'd either start with In Rock or probably Machine Head. But if you're looking for more Ian Gillan Deep Purple stuff, check this out. It's one of the best. Next up, sticking with Deep Purple, but the first album after Ian Gillan left, Burn. Another one of their best albums. My biggest complaint with this album, other than the outro electronic track, which just doesn't work at all, my biggest complaint with this lineup, actually, is the fact that they chose to have David Coverdale do the vocals. Now, I'm not like a Whitesnake guy at all. I don't care for that sound. I'm not huge on David Coverdale's. Okay. My computer just turned on. I don't even know why. I'm not a huge David Coverdale guy. I'm not huge on his vocals. I just think it sounds really bad. Not really bad, but what the fuck? Why is my computer turning on? Well, sorry about that. The main reason why I don't care for them on this lineup is because they have Glenn Hughes on bass, and Glenn Hughes provides additional vocals, and he is an amazing vocalist. I talked about him when I talked about Seventh Star by Black Sabbath, and I love his vocals, and he destroys it on this album. Center label. Oh, there's the back. Candles on the front are now burnt. Starts off with the title track, which is incredible. The David Coverdale does a very good vocal performance, but Glenn Hughes just destroys it. Those high pitched screams, especially in like live versions, like the live. It was the same concert that Sabbath performed at Day on the Green. No, that's Metallica. It's a 1974 performance, and he is incredible in that. Might Just Take Your Life, Lay Down, Stay Down, Sail Away, You Fool No One, What's Going On, Mistreated, of course, is one of the more famous songs from this era. And then the outro track, A200, is just, it just doesn't work for me, but everything else on this album is really, really good. I really enjoy this album, and I enjoy listening to it from time to time because, like I said, I'm not huge on Coverdale's vocals, but it's still a fun album as long as you don't listen to that outro track. It's still a fun album. Glenn Hughes destroys it. Richie Blackmore is as brilliant as ever. I mean, it's a fun Deep Purple album. You can't really ask for more. So yeah, Burn. Definitely check this out after you've checked out all the Ian Gillan stuff, because this is arguably their best album outside of the Mark II lineup. It's great. Next up, keeping on the same train as Sabbath vocalist, former Sabbath vocalist, we of course have, followed alphabetically, Dio. Holy Diver. One of the greatest heavy metal albums, honestly. I will put this above Screaming for Vengeance, Number of the Beast, Ace of Spades. I'd put it above them all. This album is incredible. Every single song. I have listened to this album, and I know I've said this before, but I've listened to this album an ungodly amount of times. This album is incredible. Classic Warner Brothers Center label. Obviously, this is Dio's first solo album, and the first album he made after leaving Black Sabbath. And yeah, there's the really awesome sleeve. I don't use it because I'm using a better sleeve because I don't want to scratch out my record, but you know, yeah, I've listened to this album so many times. I've almost kind of ruined it for myself because I've listened to it so many times. But yeah, Stand Up and Shout is a really, really great opener. Super fast, super catchy. Of course, leads right into the title track, which is one of the greatest 80s metal songs ever. Gypsy's a really cool song. Caught in the Middle is great. Don't Talk to Strangers. I mean, Dio has a great vocal performance on every song, but Don't Talk to Strangers is probably my favorite vocal performance of his on this album. The lyrics are great. How he changes his vocal patterns, going really, really soft, and then really high, and then really soft, and then really aggressive. It's incredible. Straight to the Heart opened up the second side, and I think that's a really underrated song. It's a very, I don't want to say doomy, but it's a lot more mid-tempo than the other songs on the album. Really cool stuff. Invisible's good as well. Rainbow in the Dark is definitely the poppiest song on the album, and infamously it was the song that Dio hated after he heard the finalized version because it was so poppy, but people seem to love it. And then Shame on the Night is a really creepy, really horror-inspired outro song. It's not an outro song, but it's the last song on the album. Awesome, awesome stuff. If you have not heard this album, I don't know what you're doing. This is, like I said, one of the greatest metal albums ever. Absolutely incredible. In terms of what I feel about the Dio discography after this album, I enjoy Last in Line for what it is. I enjoy Dream Evil. It's okay. Probably my favorite Dio album after this one, not counting like the stuff he did with Black Sabbath or Heaven and Hell, which is pretty much just Black Sabbath anyways. Probably my favorite Dio album after this one would be Lock Up the Wolves. I think that's an incredibly underrated album. But he pretty much peaked with this album, and I don't think he released another solo album that came close to this at all. So yeah, Holy Diver, Dio, if you want to get into metal, listen to this album because it's absolutely incredible. Next up is an album from probably either the second or third most famous stoner doom band ever. I only have one album from them, and it's not a very popular album in their discography, but I personally really dig it. Electric Wizard, Wizard Bloody Wizard. This is their most recent album from 2017, and it sounds a lot different from the other Electric Wizard albums. It's not as heavy, not as drony, not as... Hell, there's not even any vocal samples on this, but I actually really, really enjoy this album. It's very blues inspired. Your Blue Cheer, your Vanilla Fudge, that sort of stuff. Stray, which is another band from that era. Toad, a lot of really underrated, heavy, psychedelic, bluesy bands from that era, and this kind of replicates that sound. And honestly, I dig it. It's not my favorite Electric Wizard album, obviously. Like, I don't think I could probably justify it being my favorite, but from time to time, it's a really fun album. It comes on red vinyl, which is awesome. Lyric sheet. Yep. Cool stuff. And there's also a poster that comes with this. And hopefully YouTube does not see this because it is a little promiscuous. If I can even unfold it. Oh God. Come on. Yeah. So this, I want to get this framed because this is a really cool poster. And honestly, the entire feel of this album and the layout of it screams 70s exploitation. It's dirty, grimy. It's just, I don't know, I just really dig this album. A lot of people didn't. I see a lot of people saying that this is the worst, by far the worst Electric Wizard album. And I personally don't get it. I think this is really fun. I think some of the songs are really, really memorable, which is a lot more than you can say about, some of the weaker Electric Wizard albums. See You in Hell opens the album. That's a great track. Necromania, Hear the Siren Scream. There's only 6 songs on the album, but those first 3, side A, are easily the best. The second side, The Reaper, Wicked Caresses, I apologize for that, and Morning of the Magicians, they're good, but I definitely think that they're the weaker songs. I definitely feel that side A is a lot superior, but yeah, if you're in the mood for heavy psychedelic blues that harkens back to the late 60s, early 70s, honestly, check this out. I recommend it. A lot of people don't. Okay. I don't like putting double thick sleeved records back in the outer sleeve. So I'm going to hold off on that so this video isn't longer than it already needs to be. So yeah, if you're in the mood for that, check that album out. I really dig it. Next up, some prog rock. And if you don't know, I love progressive rock from the 70s. It's might be my favorite genre to explore. And this is by no means an obscure band, but it's a really fun record. Emerson, Lake and Palmer Trilogy. Emerson, Lake and Palmer they're formed out of not the ashes, but it's the first, I'd argue, prog supergroup. A lot of members, most famously Greg Lake, coming from King Crimson fame. Gatefold looks incredible. Emerson, Lake and Palmer get a lot of shit from not only prog fans but rock fans in general because they are very technical. Is that a label? Very technical. To the point of quote unquote wankery. It's the same thing that they accuse Dream Theater of, and while I personally don't care for a lot of Dream Theater stuff, I can at least enjoy Emerson, Lake and Palmer for what they are. They do take themselves a little too seriously at times, but for what it is, it's still good. Endless Enigma, Fugue, Endless Enigma Part 2 from the beginning, the Sheriff, Hoedown, Trilogy, Livingston, Abaddon's Bolero. I can barely speak English. Yeah. These guys are really, really technically sound. Their songs do tend to be, like I said, pretentious and technical and stuff. If you can get past that, I would definitely recommend their material. They're not my favorite prog band by any means. By any means. But if from time to time, if I'm just looking for some prog, it's not exactly prog that you can just put on in the background and just kind of take your mind off. It's very, like I said, technical and out there stuff. But if you're looking for prog that's not simple and accessible and poppy, and you want more technicality in your stuff, check out Emerson, Lake and Palmer. You'll probably dig it. And the last album we have, Swedish death metal. A lot of people would argue the kings of Swedish death metal. I would slightly disagree, but this is a classic in that scene. Clandestine by Entombed. Clandestine is the second Entombed album, and personally it's my second favorite and one of two Entombed albums I actually like. I personally prefer Left Hand Path. I think the tone fits that the style of music better and the vocals and everything. I just think the songs are better too, but this album is so good. Here's the back. This is just a full dynamic range reissue that was done recently. The artwork looks fantastic. It's a really high quality scan of an already gorgeous artwork. Love the way the Entombed logo looks in red as a center label. So yeah, LG Petrov is not doing the vocals on this album, unfortunately, but Living Dead and Sinners Bleed are the first two songs on the album, and those are probably my two favorite on the album. Let's Be, Stranger Aeons. I skipped over the third track because I can't. Evelyn? Evelyn. I think that's it. And then whatever. Move on to the second side. Chaos Breed, Crawl, Severe Burns. Severe Burns is another highlight off the album. And then Through the Colonnades. I failed a lot of English classes. I can't talk. I can't pull lyric sheets out either. Lyric sheet. Cool stuff. So yeah, when it comes to Entombed, I'm a much bigger fan of the Nihilist stuff. Obviously, Left Hand Path and this album, I really enjoy. Wolverine Blues, I don't think is bad. I just think it's okay. Like, if I never got it on record, I wouldn't be, like, devastated. Everything else after that, I just think is complete shit. But, yeah. When it comes to Swedish death metal, I do think the scene is a little, I don't want to say overrated. I think it's a little overhyped at times. And I think the Finnish scene is the true best scene in old school death metal. But Sweden's got some good albums. This is one of them, so check it out. This is actually one of the albums that got me into death metal. So if you want to get into death metal, check out this album. The vocals are a lot more clear and a lot more, you can understand them more than the ones on Left Hand Path. So yeah, Clandestine, great album. That's it for all the albums. Thanks for watching, and I would just like to say, like I said, thanks for watching. I've had some people send in some feedback and say that my videos are boring because I don't sound that enthused about the stuff. And that's simply because I'm trying not to wake up the other people in the house. So if my voice is a little low and I'm not as emotional and amped up, that's why. Trust me, I'm making these YouTube videos because I'm passionate about this stuff. I love this music. I love collecting vinyl. I absolutely love just everything about it. So it's not, I'm not doing this just to do it. I really am passionate about it, but I can't be emotive when there's other people in the house sleeping because I'm recording this at around midnight. So I don't want to scream and, carry on and wake up other people. So that's why. So that's out of the way. Thanks for watching and stay tuned for the next video.